The following movie is rated R.
Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. Today's guest is Abella, and we're going to talk about her experience in the film industry. I know you have some experience acting, producing, and writing, right?
Yeah.
So what started first for you?
It's such a weird story.
I like weird stories, and we have time.
I grew up, I'm a Romanian immigrant. I grew up in like a broke-ass household.
Mm-hmm. Where were you born?
I grew up, so I was born in Austria in a refugee camp, but we didn't stay there. So we moved to the States. Yeah. I was in like Chicago, San Jose, Denver, and then I moved to LA. My parents were like barely, like almost like didn't have a place to live, almost like kicked out on their, like it's a really long story, but pretty much my dad used to, my parents like escaped and like they lost everything. Wow. And my dad used to work for the Romanian government. He eventually was like, oh shit, this is like not a good situation. Yeah. And like was, spoke out about it and was silenced and basically had to like flee both of my parents.
And how old are you at this? Like,
I was not born at that point.
Okay.
So they went through that and like that they met each other. And on my mom's side, my mom was a Jehovah's Witness. Which,
what was that like?
Oh, girl, so bad.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
I've never met. Like, I'm very curious because that's. I mean, that shapes you. Also, I feel like you have certain experiences and memories because of that. So I'm like,
literally.
Curious.
Well, no, I mean, this is why it's coming up in conjunction to your question. Yeah. Because it is like it's something I've been unpacking a lot the last couple years, especially to be like, why am I like this?
Right. No, like I feel like you hit a certain age and you're like, why am I like this? Why did this happen? Like, why do I have this trauma? Like, why do I feel this way when I see this person? And you're like, oh shit, like, it's because this happened when I was a kid. It all comes down to like when you were a kid.
It really
and you don't even realize it as a kid, but like when you're older, you're like, yeah, that fucked me up.
It's so true. And I'm so glad that we live in a time where like it's normalized to like
talk about it
and talk about it. Yeah. And we have like tools to deal with it. Yeah. But like, I mean, pretty much like, so my mom, my dad's like fucking like basically speaking out against his own government, which is not safe.
A no.
His wife leaves him.
Wow.
Takes the kids.
Yeah.
Pieces out because it's unsafe. Because in a way, he put them in a really fucked up position.
Right. It's risky as fuck.
Risky as fuck. And he's like hella tactless, very smart, rides that like line between like I love my dad, but he's he's a wild guy, you know what I mean? I'm sure he's a lot like, he's an artist in the sense that he has this sense of integrity. And when he sees something wrong or fucked up, he can't shut up about it. He can't not say something. So I respect that about him. Yeah. But I think that he was immature and he's tactless. He didn't understand, kind of not a smart way to go, but whatever. So anyways, like he had an ego about it.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah. So I mean, ultimately, like what ended up happening was like that happened. He ended up meeting my mom, and in Romania, Jehovah's Witnesses were banned. So it was illegal.
Oh shit! Okay.
Because they were considered an enemy of the state. They weren't like they were like we. God, and we like do this to our own weird cult, so it was like a conflict of interest in a sense, and they wouldn't go to war, and they were like illegal, like they would go to jail.
Holy shit!
So pretty much like my mom was like a little rebel in her world,
right?
My dad is a little rebel in his world.
You just have two rebellious parents.
Yeah, and then like the wild part about it is like coming to the States and then like them being here instead of. Probably as a reaction to what they went through, they like hella, and my mom being in a cult, they like hella tried to like restrict and like do that to me. Yeah. And on top of that, not having money. And then on top of that being like, just like, I think my mom was really afraid of the world after everything she went through. And then we literally lived in like sketchy ass neighborhoods.
For good reason too.
Part good reasons, part like not. But like for someone like me, I was like, it was like I was like completely like, I was like neglected. I was like starved of like the connection and attention I needed. Yeah. So like the only thing that I had left to do was to create. Because I fucking had nothing.
Yeah,
like, I didn't really have toys.
The reality.
Exactly. Escape the reality. So to answer your question, like, did I ever? Like, it was like no. It wasn't even like I should like it would be so
I should
cool
do this. Like this is my. It was like I need to escape this fucking situation. Like, and then just
I'm like in these 4 fucking walls at home alone. Mm-hmm. Nobody's there. I don't have fucking siblings. I can't go outside.
Oh, you're an only child.
I'm an only child too. Wow. I have half siblings from my dad's previous marriage.
Are you guys close?
We've I like found her on Facebook. The moment Facebook came out, I was like,
And I found her an amazing tool to find people,
dude.
Honestly. Yeah, no, but I'm glad you were able to connect with her. I mean, interesting to hear like your side of like, you know, being alone, and that was like how you would escape, because I feel like that's how I would escape too.
I think there was just no other option.
Okay.
I think that the level of like emotional like starvation I was experiencing at that point.
Yeah.
Was like such a high level that I was like, this is the only thing I could think to do to like not feel insane.
Yeah.
And that's like a crazy thing to have
as a kid.
You know what I mean?
Like just imagine playing one day and like in Austria, right? Like you're just playing with your dolls, and then like your mom's like, pack everything up, we're leaving. And then you just like leave to the other side of the part of the world, and it's like no explanation. My parents never had to like sit down, like we're getting divorced. So it was just like I felt like I grew up like at like age 11 and a half, honestly. Like it was like I was a kid, everything was so innocent and fun, and then all of a sudden it was like, we're moving, like you're gonna have to like step up as almost like the dad role, because my mom had to work full time. She went from being like a stay-at-home mom to working all day.
Wow.
So that was like, so I just felt like, oh my God, my parents like left me almost. Like my dad's like in Austria. My mom's working every like day now, all the time.
Did you feel like abandoned in a way?
Yeah, but I wasn't abandoned. Like, you know what I mean? Like
but emotionally,
it was. Yeah, exactly. When I think about it, I'm like, but my mom was like, she always came back. She always came home. And but that was another thing that helped me grow and kind of create and shape me. I'm like, okay, how can I make this story? How can I make my audience connect with these like characters in the story? And I honestly just put my own like feelings and experiences that I've like felt and like with different people and like tweak it a little bit. Like I don't like use like let's say like I meet you, like I wouldn't just use like your full personality in my like story, but I would use like parts of your personality.
Sure.
You know, like what I mean, and just like mix it in together. But I definitely feel like all the things that have happened to me has definitely helped shape and like help me be more creative, even though like it has been some fucked up things like in the past. But I feel like that's what helps everyone. Like it kind of just, it's real and it's raw, you know, it's like authentic shit like that people can connect to. Like not everyone's life is like rainbows and fairy tales all the time.
Dude,
you know?
Most people don't have that.
Exactly. Yeah.
The truth is that even the people that seem that they do or think consciously that they do.
Yeah.
That's often like a defense mechanism to actually like addressing, you know, like
definitely.
I think most people have either fucked up experiences or like it's all relative. Like even if they have like what seems like such a perfect whatever, there's some shit that went down that probably, you know, compare your life to like someone else's highlight reel or whatever the fuck.
Right. I love that. That's a good I love that. Okay. Yeah. No,
like,
actually though.
Like, I have perfectionism. I have shame. I have like all of that shit.
That's normal.
And it's normal. But like, in order to deal with that, you have to learn to like really like not hide that shit, right? That's like the antidote. The antidote to feeling like you need to always be perfect is to let yourself be seen. That's
honestly feeling like you always have to be perfect is super fucking toxic. Like,
it's toxic, but a lot of people deal with that.
I know, especially in Hollywood too.
Well, fucking that's a whole other thing. But like, I know, as a result of social media, I think it's really common, you know, and especially for women, right?
Yeah,
but men too,
right?
You know, and I think that like I always am so scared that like somebody that I'm dating is going to compare like me and my realness to like some other girl on a fucking thing. You know how it is when you're in a relationship with somebody. Like that's the real. You get the worst and the best, all of it.
Exactly. You can, and it's like you can't just tap out whenever it's getting hard or it seems like like you know like a little difficult. Like that's what
we do that now.
I know, and everyone's so used and like makes it seem like that's like normal, but it's not. Like I feel like if you talk to our grandparents or like even our parents who have been married for like let's say 50 plus years, like they didn't just fucking tap out when it got difficult or when shit like started to get like tough and they needed figured it out together. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the foundation. I feel like communicating, like having that mutual respect and having that trust and connection is kind of key with any relationship, honestly.
Yeah, but dude, like we don't fucking know how to do that. We don't know how to love right now. Dudes compare chicks to every fucking other hot girl on their Instagram.
Yeah. Chicks
compare dudes to like fucking the mental health social media posts that are like, is he doing this or is he doing this? And like, it's like You like literally cannot. You cannot like put people in these boxes.
No,
because human beings are constantly oscillating.
And not every guy's gonna fit a meme or a fucking box.
It's a box, like, dude. Stop. Like honestly, what fucking person do you know that isn't like toxic some of the time?
I feel like everyone has like something that they could better, or like, oh, it's not your best trait.
Yeah,
like, I would fix that. Like you can't like. There's not anyone I'm like, oh my god, like they don't have to fix anything. Like,
no,
literally,
I'm sure
there's something you could fix.
All of us, and I think that the issue is that like we're so fucking like weird about all this shit now that it's like compounded,
but also sensitive too, like oversensitive. It's like you said that about me, like well, it's just like. Learn from it too. It's like there's also friendly criticism. Like not everything has to be so personal.
Yo, dude, if somebody's sitting you down to talk to you about some shit, probably they love you.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably they might love you.
They care enough to fucking have the conversation.
It is not convenient or comfortable.
It's super awkward
to like be like, hey, you know, when you do that thing, it sucks.
When you do that thing.
And I guess I'm bringing all this up in conjunction with the fact that I feel like. To your point, all the shit that we've all been through, everybody's been through shit. Yeah. Everybody has their form of trauma, right? Yeah. That is what makes us human. That's what makes us all the things, right?
Us, yeah.
That's what makes us have something to say as artists. That's what makes us like know truth when we see it.
Exactly.
So when we can't connect to that as people or as artists, first of all, our lives, like our ability to live like a fulfilled or engaged life suffers because we can't connect authentically. I can't let you see me because I gotta hide all this shit.
Right, it's all fake and filtered,
And then our ability to create art, and I actually have a question for you about this because I've been thinking a lot about this right now. Like, I feel like because these limitations that we are experiencing right now societally, that everybody is like kind of dealing with, like how what we present to people versus who we really are, and the intimacy that's uncomfortable with that.
Yeah.
And us being in this fucking city, which is the antithesis.
Literally the worst place to, like, if you have any, like, self-confidence issues, this is not the spot.
But, like, how does this work, though? Because if we're human, if we're, like, in the business of telling human stories.
Right. But we're acting fake. That doesn't seem real.
I don't understand how this lines up. Yeah. And I'm having, actually, like, a weird, like, identity crisis with, like, Los Angeles right now, where I'm just like, where do I fit in this shit? Because, like, I don't want to be dishonest.
Yeah. And it's almost like weird. Like imagine being an artist and never being like have gone through anything and then like trying to like create something. It's like, I don't know, like what are you experiencing? Like if everything's always just so perfect and fine and it's like I feel like it's not even interesting. I can't even connect to that. Like I'm like, what?
Yes, like I feel like there's artists too that like don't want to totally own some of their shit. Like I see this a lot. I do stand up as well, and I see this a lot.
Oh, okay.
With other stand-up comics where they're so funny off stage, like the way that they talk and whatever, but they haven't taken they're avoiding something.
Okay.
So when they go on stage, it's like you're watching somebody just like sit on the surface.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're not like it's almost like just a monologue they're performing and like tapping in deeper than they like about who they really are.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean that all of their jokes have to be about their trauma or anything like that.
And that's another thing too, just because like you don't have to always throw it all out there like 100% like, oh, this is what happened, like feel bad for me, like but it's like you can just incorporate that, like sprinkle it in,
just at least like acknowledge it because that's
learn and reflect from it, like acknowledge it, grow from it, like you know what I mean,
like don't dwell on it if you don't want to,
don't let it hold you back either, because there's those people too, they're like, I've been through this, or like this happened to me when I was like a kid, and it's like I'm sure like that happened and I acknowledge it was fucked up, but like we've all have gone through things in a different way at different times in our lives. And it's like, it's not really fair to like say like, oh, my struggle was worse than yours. It's just like, it might be different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think you can't always compare like struggles either.
No.
I've noticed with like a lot of people, like they're like, I've gone through something. So like no one has gone through it as bad as I have.
Like what can happen sometimes is like we become too identified with our traumas.
Yeah.
And we sort of like, we create that as a part of who we are. Like now it's a part of who we are. So it makes us special. Yeah. And it makes us, we sort of like, because it hurts so much, we have to find a way to try to like change the meaning of it. And now we've like used it as this thing to make us feel special. And so if somebody else has trauma too, it threatens that self-image.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think it's really important. I think both things are important to like address it, but I also think it's equally important to fucking move the fuck on.
Yeah.
And like not live your days like thinking about that shit. And you do have to like find the points. Like there's a time to mourn and then there's a time to let it go.
Yeah.
And I think that like having respect for other people's like if you have some fucked up shit, then you should have respect for somebody else's, you know?
Right. You would almost think that you'd be more understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really how did your parents feel about like when you were like starting to write and like act? Like what were their thoughts on that? Were like that's cool? Were they supportive or was it more like
well, my parents, I've gone through a really long journey with my mom and dad. They both our relationship has been really challenging.
Yeah.
Like they, you know, my mom with her Jehovah's Witness thing. Yeah. That was really hard. I left at age 16.
Oh, wow. Because of that or just for different reasons?
I left the Jehovah's Witness church at age 16. They still let me stay in the house, luckily, but I thought I was going to get kicked out.
Right.
And I was lucky that, you know, I left when I was like 17, but still like it was, they did like, I don't know. It was it's been a really interesting journey with them because, I don't know how much you know about that whole Jehovah's Witness thing.
I don't really know much. That's why I'm kind of like curious. I'm like, what is that even like? Like, how does that get introduced to you? You know?
Right. Well, I think it gets introduced to most people who are in traumatized situations, just like any cult or any like group like that kind of brings somebody in, whether it's fucking what is it, market, what do they call it, like the pyramid scheme? No, like multi-level marketing shit, or like fucking any cult, like it's like
do cults like have like fucking like I don't know, like videos, like not like recruiting videos, but like
okay, so you asked how I became an actor. Well, like basically pretty much, so like initially it was like trying to like I didn't have a camera and shit to like make stuff with, but I could write and illustrate my own stories and then like put music to them. So I would do that.
Okay.
But then once I got a little older, I realized like, oh, I need to be good at being a Jehovah's Witness in order to make my mom love me. So let me put on a character where but it wasn't putting on a character. It was like, because that's not acting, right? Acting is finding the truth in yourself.
Right.
So I didn't know I was doing that. Yeah. But I was doing that. I was like, I don't buy into this shit, but let me find what parts I could buy into.
Right.
Like I found in myself how to make it real for myself and how to buy in and like the motivations and the behaviors and all of that stuff. And then they actually made me like they gave me like parts like on like stage in front of like 5,000, 10,000 people sometimes.
That many people?
At these conventions, like telling these stories that are like young people finding like the truth.
And you were like acting it out? Whoa.
So like my experience of becoming an actor was initially kind of a coping strategy.
Yeah.
And getting into storytelling was also a coping strategy.
Right.
And I was good at the storytelling part and then accidentally became an actor without realizing it. Yeah. Then actually became an actor for real.
Yeah.
And then like had to like left all of that, tried to go into different forms of art, became a makeup artist.
Oh, really? Okay.
And then was like, this is deeply unfulfilling. And then after being in like a really like emotionally abusive relationship where I had all these like I developed like major social anxiety where I literally like I was invalidated so much by this person and like shut down so much.
It's fucked up how only one person can do that too.
It's fucking wild. It's fucking wild. And like it got to the point where I literally felt so uncomfortable in my own skin and speaking that I like I was like didn't know how to be social. Yeah. Like I was like scared to speak. Yeah. Around people. Wow. And so I was like
it's like how are you gonna act if you're scared to speak?
Well,
right?
The whole thing was at that point I didn't want to I wasn't like I want to be an actor. Like I was being a makeup artist. I was like doing that and I was like I'm deeply unfulfilled doing this makeup artist shit because the best part of my day is not the doing of the makeup. It's actually like connecting with my clients.
Oh, okay.
And like learning about their stories. And I worked in, you know, I worked with all sorts of from wedding clients, from on set, from, you know, the first time I worked on set was doing makeup and costuming, on a film. And so I didn't realize like, I don't know. So anyways, over all of the course of that, like I worked in strip clubs as well, doing makeup for the dancers. Nice. And I was like learning about these people and their characters as how they were on stage. Like, so anyways, there was just this constant like kind of exploration of like humanity that I was like doing as a result of like through these other realms.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also had this like other thing that was going on where my ability to express myself was so limited because of this abuse. And then I was realizing there was also other older shit that I hadn't reclaimed yet.
Right.
Because when you get brought up within a religion and especially a cult, you're like a Jenga, right?
Yeah.
You're like brick by brick.
Yeah.
You're through your development.
Right.
Right. And then when you say like, okay, half of this shit isn't real for me anymore. Like when I said Jehovah's Witness shit, not down, I don't believe in any of this stuff. I had to take like
pieces out of your life.
Out of my
and that's like all you like knew for a while too.
That was all I mean, my dad luckily wasn't a Jehovah's Witness. He was non-denominational, like kind of like every like spiritual, like he believed that everything leads to the same place, kind of.
Okay.
And he was like,
so you don't have to marry. Like if you're a Jehovah's Witness,
you have to.
Oh, you do.
But she like went against it, and she got in trouble for that. She did. So she communicated, and then had to go, and then went back.
Oh shit. Okay. So yeah, because I was like. I thought it would be like pretty strict where like you'd have to like marry like another Jehovah's.
No, it was a big thing, and that was a big reason why I tried so hard to like fill that role for her because she was so like,
which is such a big and heavy role to fill as a child too, even as a teenager, even as a young adult. It's like you're not supposed to fill that role for her. You know,
it's literally
so unhealthy,
and it creates like
I feel like resentment almost too.
Dude, resentment is like not only resentment, but they actually have a word for it in like psychology because they call it, it's weird, so bear with me, they call it emotional incest.
Really?
Because it has the same effects as if you had incest happen to you as a kid.
Wow.
It has
That's
the same
deep shit.
It's some deep shit,
That's
dude.
Some deep shit. I've never even thought of it that way. That's crazy.
Same.
Wow. But when you think about it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Wow. Like I never even was like sure if it was like comfortable to talk about it or like okay to bring it up and like, you know, like.
Yeah. I mean, why the fuck not? We're artists. Right. Like we may as well talk about it. Like it's like the shit that like, if we can't even fucking talk about it, like how are we going to like look it in the face to like, you know?
Have you ever thought about like making a documentary or like something or like a movie even just like talking about it or like revealing the truth about like I don't know.
I'm unpacking it right now. Unpacking it. I still have like some ways to go. Like I kind of am exploring it in stand-up a bit and like I want to see what comes from that.
Do you feel like writing jokes, making jokes helps cope with like maybe past like
100%.
trauma?
Yeah,
I love stand-up comedy, so I actually would really, really be down to see it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of open mics we can go. Yeah, there's tons of open mics we can go, and like cool. You know, I think because you're a writer as well, so like
I don't know if I'm funny though.
Joke structure is something that can be learned. You're fucking funny. Yeah. Joke structure is something that can be learned.
What's a common thing you would like teach or like is there like a basic little not basic but like a little outline of, this is like
set up and punch. Rules of three really works. But yeah, I mean we could talk more about that for sure because like it's very like everyone I think should like have the experience of like
totally
doing stand up and standing.
How did you even feel confident like or comfortable doing that? Like I feel like it's a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Well, no, but you did.
I feel like I'd still feel nerve-wracking. I feel like I go up there.
But you also did act.
Yeah.
You're like, I got this.
I'm literally shaking.
Really?
And it's like, honestly,
so you still get nervous?
Like, oh my god, all day.
Okay.
Like especially your nervousness is relative to how much you do it. It's like you know, like if you. I don't know. This is a horrible like, metaphor, but like if you've never been on a roller coaster, the first time you go, you're like shitting.
Yeah, you're like,
so am I dying up there? Yeah. But like if you keep doing it, it becomes more and more comfortable, and you're just like,
and the drops aren't even as crazy anymore.
Yeah,
you're just
desensitized to it.
Exactly. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, like, so all of that, like, for me was just like basically like I took an acting class because so my ex, the one that fucked me up, was a director.
No. See, that's another thing. I just feel like I can't date anyone like in the
film adjacent.
At all.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. Like I was like, I'm never dating an actor. I was like,
don't date an actor.
Don't play me.
Don't date an actor. You could date a female actor, but not a male actor. Not a male comedian. You know? Never.
No, I've heard some stories.
Things that make you good at comedy don't make you good at being a person.
That's true.
So that's why it's tricky because,
you know,
and with women, usually women at least have like it's harder for them to even get into comedy. So like usually by the time they get into it, they've been fucked with enough.
And like I'm just like thinking about, I'm like, you know those like comedians that make like really dirty jokes, and I'm just like, you couldn't even like say that kind of stuff or use that in real life because it'd be creepy. Like, why are you talking like that? But in stand-up, it's hilarious. You're
right?
Like, oh, like he's talking about his dick or whatever. Yeah. But like if he was in like, if
that's hilarious because every fucking comic does
literally. But like off stage, you're just like, why are you talking about your dick? Like, this is really uncomfortable. You know?
Yeah.
So like, why?
Yeah. But also, I mean, if you think about like what comedy is, like we learn what we do all the time. So if you think about like somebody who learns to be good at comedy, the structure of comedy is like safety and violation. That's what makes it funny, right? Because I'll make you feel safe and then I violate. Right. And then you laugh, right? Because I like just violate. But I made you feel safe, so it's like funny and not scary.
Instead of like a roast of just like
Yeah.
Okay.
But in real life, that can be abusive.
Right. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So it's like, it's hard because, Also, I think, for me, like, even with acting, like, I try to really not bring, like, that stuff into my everyday because it would be a lot for me and for the people that I love. Yeah. Right? Because imagine if you, like, okay, but I will say it's hard in some ways. Right. So, imagine if you like did make jokes all the time when something was serious. Like that would be a shitty way. That'd be a shitty person to have a shitty way a relationship with. Yeah, you know, what I mean? Like, can we like, you know?
Yeah. Can we have a serious conversation?
Yeah. Like I'm not down with that.
No,
but I will say that on the flip side, one of the things that like is challenging is that I think as an actor, like I work really hard on trying to listen and trying to really, because that's what acting is. It's listening, right? Yeah. And also listening to yourself.
And reacting, yeah.
Yeah. So like, and then like kind of observing and being present with somebody. But what I'm discovering is that, while that's something that like I've developed in myself, I haven't always been good at it. It's something I've had to train and learn. Yeah. I'm not always good at it, but like, it's something that I'm very hyper focused on. So my needs from another person are pretty high. My expectations are pretty high.
But it should be like you shouldn't even have to set it low. Like I feel like we're so used to like being told like, oh, like you have to have high expectations or don't expect that from a guy. It's like, no shit, I'm gonna fucking expect that because like if they're expecting this from me, like I can expect at least that back or more.
I don't even know what to think anymore because I thought that for so long, honestly.
You're like, I don't know.
But like then I'm thinking like now I'm like, damn, like we also have this like fucked up rhetoric around like never settle. That's like
what? But why? Like who spread that rumor?
I don't.
Like I'm gonna find you. Like, apparently, the industry's going on strike as well. Like I don't know if you heard about that.
I have heard. Yeah. So is that for sure?
That's supposed to happen in October.
Shit.
So
dude.
Which is literally like next week. Yeah. So I was like, oh shit. Of course, it's right when I start my new job.
Wait, hold on. Did you also hear about like ICM and CAA merging?
No,
that was today.
It's happening today, or they talked about it.
It happened today.
So
ICM and CAA is merging, which means
a
lot of people are going to get fired. I mean, they're
because I used to be independent and freelance for like the longest time, also because of COVID, made it pretty hard to like get in and like do all that kind of shit. So my plan literally was like all over the place. So now hearing about it, I'm like, oh shit, like I didn't know, like, I mean, I had an idea this shit was happening, but like now being around it, I'm like, oh.
Well, shit's like downsizing. Yeah. Because like people
are fucking fed up. Like they're like, we're being overworked. We're going over, like filmmakers work like 12 to 16 hours like on like a day. Like it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah.
And then they have to drive home and like, a lot of, like not everyone lives like really close. Like some people live in Long Beach, some people live in like it's happened. It's been.
So let me ask you this, because I think like I'm having this experience right now in LA where I'm literally like, what is happening?
Yeah,
shit is fucked up.
Yeah,
it feels like everything is like crumbling.
Yeah,
right. And usually that's like, I mean, that's going to be a good thing because then you can rebuild it, whatever. But there is going to be a period of time where we have to find a new way to move forward because. Like, does this mean that, like, there's going to be a rise of independent filmmaking? Because now, right? Because, and it's a great time for that to happen because, like, we can do that. We have the tools. We can literally,
we do.
You know what I mean? You can create something with fucking $1,000 budget.
If you don't even need a fucking nice ass red dragon camera. Don't. Like people have literally showed us we can do it on an iPhone. Like we know that now. We can do it on a GoPro. We've seen it. Like all those documentaries, they use GoPros. They go underwater. All the underwater shit, all the like national, like it's all 4K GoPro shit. Like it's just
literally
like put in a tree. Like
yeah, dude.
I was okay. I was like so like freelance, independent, but like for me, it wasn't steady enough. Like especially with like during COVID. Like sometimes like I would have a month I'd be super booked out, super busy, and I'd be like, oh, this is great. But then like the next month I might like have maybe only one shoot that I'm working on, and it like didn't make like ends meet, right? At the end of the day, I was like, I don't want to have to worry like how am I going to pay my rent this month, you know? Like it was just too stressful for me. That's why I was like, I need something with more structure. So I started looking for a job in the film industry because I wanted to stick to like, because it's another thing that's very common in LA is, you know, you have to pay, it's a fucking expensive to pay rent here. So it's very common that you pick up another job. Sometimes you get stuck in that job.
Yeah.
And I was very, very scared of that. I was deathly afraid of that. I was like, I literally graduated in the middle of COVID. It's very easy for me.
Where did you go again?
New York Film Academy in Burbank. I spent $100,000 on my tuition just to graduate in the middle of a pandemic, to not get anything secured. Everything that was promised to me from my school didn't happen.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, like I was supposed to screen my movie at Warner Brothers. I was supposed to have a like graduation. I was supposed to like film another film. None of that happened. Like everything was just like figure it out. Like sorry, like
what,
yeah,
dude?
it was
what
fun. The way they,
dude.
the way everything was just like so different. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna start looking for a job in the industry. It took me 2 months. It was not easy. I literally was like, I'm gonna like resort back to retail or something. Like I don't know what the fuck to do. But I was so scared. Like I was like, I don't want to like get stuck and like.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the day, I was like, you have to pay rent and you have to eat. So like you can't be picky either, right? And I just happened like literally at the end of like I was at the very end, like about to give up. And then I found this job, this COVID testing company. And that has really opened my eyes to what it's like working on a studio set. Even though I'm not working on the act like with the studio, but I'm attending all these different shoots that these big productions have like the one shoot I was on was a $20 million budget per episode. Yeah. So like I'm going from my experience, like my shoot was like 10 grand, my short film. So it's like I'm going from films that are like 5 to 10 grand budget wise to now I'm on $20 million productions. You can't fucking compare that. It's insane. Like it's a team effort. Like you can't make a fucking movie by yourself. So it's just like not fair that they're not getting paid from like what they deserve, their labor, their time. Like time is valuable. Like that's like another thing. Like I just feel like that needs to be like time is everything. Like it doesn't fucking matter how hard the job is. It's like you're putting your fucking time into this. Like you're not gonna get that time back. Life is very short too. Like I don't know. That's why I'm like I want to be paid for my time, right? So like I get why they're like, you know, going on strike and wanting to like be heard because it's not fair. It's really not fair. Yeah. Like they have these ginormous budgets. Like you hear $20 million budget. Someone who's not in the film industry is thinking, whoa, everyone who worked on that is fucking rich.
It takes a while to really see that money. And even like people who are working are not seeing it until they're like well on their way. But it's like, it's not fair. You have to like literally like sell your soul to like get like just what you think you deserve pay wise. And it's like, there's always that threat in the film industry. It's like, you can be replaced. And I think that's, well, it's kind of like toxic. Oh, you won't do the job, well somebody else will. So that's why you do overwork yourself. That's why you do accept the minimum pay. That's why you do these overnight shoots. But it's like, imagine if like they didn't talk to you, you didn't have that fear of like you're not like as replaceable as like a snap, like literally like you're replaceable like that. So it's like when you have that in your head, you're fucking scared. You don't want to be replaced like that. You don't want to be like not known. You don't want to be X'd out of the film industry. But like it's pretty intense shit. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you think about it. Like, it's pretty like dated type of like structure. It's old school thinking. Yeah. Yeah, and it's like it's literally it's not like the money's not there. That's like what I'm like if the money wasn't there, then it's like okay, that would be different. But it's like you're literally flaunting these big budgets and like oh, we have all this and that. I don't know. Like I feel like it's also big and scary and risky to go against these major for sure because you are almost maybe canceling yourself. There's that risk. Well, I mean that's like notoriously like how it's anything's ever happen when change happens, right? Like same with Me Too, right? Yeah. Same with like the comedian strike back in like the 70s. Yeah. You know, so it's like it's like you you're basically like making a stand. But I do think that the irony of it right now, we can replace them.
Yeah.
That's what's kind of like actually sad and scary for even us.
I mean, like, even movie theaters are almost being replaced by streaming platforms.
That's
so it's like, that's why I'm like, we can't be so like, oh no, this is how it was like 80 years ago in the film industry. I'm like, I'm sure that's how it was, but like shit's changing every single day. If we're not adapting and changing with it, like what the fuck is going to happen?
Well, like, I mean, even just with social media and like TikTok, like the numbers have gone down.
Yeah. Like I feel like when you watch shows like on regular, like let's say at 8 p.m., like Bachelor is going to start. I don't think it's getting the same kind of views like if you like on a streaming platform when it just drops. And
like there are nights that like I'm not like super that into TikTok or whatever, but
there's nights that it's funny and you scroll through.
Dude, I mean, I've been like on a TikTok like fucking like cleanse. Cleanse. And I'm like no, but like I have a girlfriend. I remember like half of the pandemic. She's like, I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I've been watching TikTok for like 2 hours.
Yeah, no, you can't. It's easy to get hooked and like because it's like one funny video and then it's like another one. You're like, well, that one's kind of funny. And they just keep going.
The algorithm is like on point.
Yeah. Also, I've been hearing though, like these like filmmakers after the shoots, they've been like dying, and that's literally why they've been going on strike.
Oh yeah,
because they'll work these 12 to 16-hour shoots. They drive home, they fall asleep at the wheel. That's it, and it's happened a lot lately. So I think that was like another major thing. Like it's just like, and it was a second AC, so it was like someone helping with camera. Like that's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like being so overworked. And then I read another story because there's like a whole Instagram page about all these different filmmakers that write their experiences. One of them was like, she literally got like a UTI or like a bladder infection because her job literally didn't let her use the bathroom. Because they were like you're allowed to use the bathroom, but they're like, if you miss a call, like it's all on you. Like they basically put that pressure on her like on set. So she was just like, I literally like, and she's like, I had to like stay up because I had to like take calls from LA, and I was in New York, and it was like I had to stay up, like all these extra. It's just like this whole thing, and I was like, damn,
it's like pretty fucked up work conditions.
It's
and I think
fucked up work conditions.
That like the power structures that are in the film industry, like I have that, with my agents and stuff too.
Oh,
right?
So you have how many agents? Like, how does that work?
With the
like having an agent. Like I don't have one, so
it's like, I mean,
did you pick your agent, or like did they pick you? Like how does that work?
You pick each other.
You choose each other. Across the room, you're like, ew.
Kind of, yeah.
I mean, that's like, cute. I like it.
Well, you like send your stuff to them, and then they have a roster of people that they have, and if they if they feel like they can like sell you or like do something to like lift you up to the next level or whatever that is, then they'll take you on their roster. And different agents and managers have different ways of like choosing how they run their business and stuff, but I mean, I've been pretty lucky for the most part. But I mean, like, it's interesting because there's like I was actually talking about this today. There's like a flex that like reps can do with actors that it's kind of like, it's an amateur type of, in my opinion, mentality, because when you're working with somebody, if they're your rep and you're like, nobody works for, technically your rep works for you, but not really. You're in a partnership. Right. You're in a partnership where you make 90% and you work 90% as the actor. They make 10%. Yeah. And they work 10%. But that 10% gets you the space to like gets you in the room, right? You have to bring. You always you can just
they're
like, just gonna you know what I mean?
You can just walk on and be like, give me the part. My agent recommended me. Right. Okay, girl, sit down.
Yeah, exactly. But it's interesting because especially for like younger, newer actors, you're just like so happy to be there that you're like, your agents can sometimes, if you have an agent that is an asshole, which can happen. They like flex on you. And it's really interesting because they'll like try to put you down and like try to like
I wouldn't like that. But like,
yeah, it's interesting.
No. Like I want to, like if I like, because I've thought about it. I'm like, I want to get an agent, but I feel like I want to build my portfolio a little bit more before I like try to get one. Yeah. And I'm like, I feel like you have to have a friendship. It has to be a friendship and the trust there. Like you don't want it to feel like, oh, like this guy's just trying to like get a percentage off me, or this girl's trying to get a cut off me. Well,
they have to understand what your vision is, and you have to like be on the same, like they need to like, because the thing is that the agents and casting and all these people, especially for and as far as actors go, they're like the ones that like can open doors for you. So every person that's there, like you said, you can't make a movie by yourself, is like opening a door.
Right.
And that's based on trust.
Right.
And that's based on them seeing you, who you are, what you want to say as an artist.
Right.
And like understanding that enough to get you in the right rooms.
Right.
You know, it's like, it's actually a really beautiful, like cool thing that happens.
Yeah, it is.
But it has to be like the right situation. And like, unfortunately at times, like, especially, it's like being a woman in the film industry, you have to like, you go through your like 20s, whatever, you have to learn how to like kind of have audacity to be like set boundaries.
You have to be assertive, but you can't be a bitch.
Right.
Like, it's like, there's that line. It's like,
there's that line.
One of my film school teachers actually told me, he's like, I like that you don't take shit. He's like, and when you do deliver things, like you deliver it like, he's like, in the right tone. I was like, I prefer assertive. Like the word assertive.
You could just call me assertive, right?
Like, and he's like, yeah. And I was like, thanks.
I mean, I think that like a level of directness also works
100%.
Right? Because people are,
if you're straight up, it's like, okay, she's not fucking around. Like,
but it's also like, I think people appreciate that, or the right people appreciate that.
Yes.
So, especially in LA where everybody's just kind of like trying to be really nice.
Totally.
I'm just like, no, dude, just like,
no, dude.
Let's be real, because it's like, let's not waste anybody's time.
Yeah.
Mine or yours. Right. But I think that's it's tricky. Like I've had a lot of success with like being direct with people. Yeah. But there's also times, I mean, you also are successful in finding out who the fuck you don't vibe with.
That's literally one thing I've actually brought up on the podcast. I'm like, working on all these different film sets, like independent, non-independent, I know what type of personality I can work with and handle and who I just won't work with anymore and stuff.
Who won't you work with? Like, what's the...
For me, I actually had worked on a set where I had never actually dealt with this before, but it was very like, we're guys, like the guys run this set. And it was very... And I was like, oh, hell no, I'm not going to just move forward after like you say it. Like, I'm part of this team too. Like, it was just like so fucking disrespectful because I would never do that. No. Like, and like to feel like it's like to do that and like just feel like it's like you can just do that and get away with that. Like that's just a slap in the face. Like I just thought that was so rude. I was like, how, like the fuck? And then also I've experienced higher up key heads talk down to like the people assisting them or like the PAs, which is really fucked up because it's like you never know who's going to be a PA on your set, but you might be a PA on their set one day, or you might be doing like it always like switches. Just because one person was a PA on your set doesn't mean that they're never going to direct something or never going to be like making this or that or being like the actor.
Dude,
you don't know. You do not know.
Can I tell you a crazy story?
Yeah.
Okay,
oh my God, I love crazy stories.
I have a girlfriend who is a rep. And she's a manager. She's great. She does really like she's like I watched her kind of like grow her career in the last like decade pretty much, and she's like killing it. And it's like she reps like some really incredible really incredible artists, and I'm like endlessly proud of her. But she told me this story the other day where like to your point, like she had a guy reach out to her that she like went on a couple dates with, not recognize her and reach out for rep, an actor.
Oh my God!
And this guy was like, this guy said crazy shit to her. Oh my God. When they were like first talking, he said some shit like he was like asking her like what she weighs and shit, like in the DMs, like when they're like
that's disgusting.
Literally disgusting.
See, that already shows me what kind of type of person you are, and like I want to stay so far fucking away from those types of people.
But it's just so funny because like LA is such a like funny town like that, where it's like he probably like his fucking big ass ego, he didn't even like stop to think like, you know what I mean?
No, I know.
And then he's reaching out to her. She works for a really reputable company right now. He reaches out to her for rep, and she's just like, actually, I don't know if you remember me, but like. I
love that for her. Dude. Good for her.
I loved it. I was like, my God,
that's amazing.
Cannot believe.
That's amazing. Like, what do you want to pursue more? Are you still pursuing all of it? Or are you like, I want to focus more on acting or my comedy? Like,
dude, so low key, like I'm getting just like, I don't know. I'm going through this like period where I'm like, I fucking like, I don't have the patience and time to do shit that I don't give a fuck about.
Yeah.
I just feel I've spent so much time trying to build my career, right? Which you have to do that, right? You have to do all the shit that like you got to do to like, you know,
and I feel like it's extra work, especially being in the creative industry, like field. Like it's just,
you have to say yes to a bunch of shit, right? And you just have to like be happy to fucking be here,
right?
And be like, okay, let's go. Yeah, you know?
And it's also about connections too. Like unfortunately, like a lot of it, and but I feel like it's hard to make those connections, especially right now because of COVID. Like I wasn't going out as much, like trying to network with people or doing. I was scared at first, like going out to like public places like that. But now I need to like put myself out there because I'm like I can't just like stay home and like hope somebody knocks on my door one day and is like, I want to make a movie. It's never gonna happen.
Yeah,
you have to put yourself out
there.
You
do have to put yourself out there
or write some shit.
And I just think that like where, you know, I mean, I don't know, like it's like we spend a lot of time trying to build our career, and I think again, like we said, like that's important.
Yeah.
Just like you talked about, like the job thing, right? You don't want to get lost in another job, but sometimes you need to have another job to like figure out your shit. But you have to decide. Each artist, I think, has to decide where is the give and take of like where I'm like starting to lose myself and what I want to say and how much time am I spending on
it.
This shit that's not really doing the art that I want to do, right? So like, okay, what does that mean for me? And for me, like it's like right now I really want to in multiple ways find what exactly I'm trying to say and get good at saying it, whether that's through stand-up. I have a writing partner, so I'll be writing with her as well. And some of the stuff we're writing, I have like my big baby that I want to like write, right? But then I also have like smaller shit that like also gives me an opportunity to say what I want to say artistically. And I think right now for me, that's like really just being like, let's take a beat and look at what we've built as humans right now. Let's look at all of this
and appreciate what you've built. Like I feel like we're always like, oh, I won't be happy or satisfied until I reach this goal or until I did this or that. But it's like, take a second and like see what you've already accomplished or like where you're at.
That for
I feel
sure.
Like we take that for granted.
That for sure. But I'm talking more about like, I mean, that for sure. Because like as individuals, I think it's really important.
Yeah.
But like also let's look at what we built as a society.
This
shit is fucked up.
Yeah.
This shit is fucked up. So like I know
I know we're all. This shit is fucked up. It becomes a rap. This shit is fucked up.
No, it's look at the film industry shit we were just talking about. We've accepted that because
they've let us accept. Like generations have been accepting it, so we're accepting. Like no,
right? And like day in and day out, we just kind of get like things get normalized, right?
Yes.
So where I'm at right now, I want to be like, yo, let's look at like what's actually happening right here. Like, are we evolving?
Yeah.
Or are we devolving?
Are we backtracking? Like, I feel like we're backtracking.
I feel like we're backtracking, dude. It's like we have like not to fucking like shit on social media again because everybody does it, but with the social media and the dating apps and all of that shit, I'm like, yo, are we like, do we know how to love?
Yeah.
Do we know how to love?
Yeah.
Do we know how to be ourselves?
I feel like we don't know how to be ourselves anymore because of it's literally just like we depend on it so much.
We depend on it. I mean, it was already hard to fucking know how to be yourself before.
Yeah.
But like,
now
do we know what intimacy is? Do you know how to look somebody in the face and like be honest?
Yeah. Yeah. I know. And it's like, how can you portray like that kind of real shit on screen if like the people creating that kind of stuff aren't really like,
do you know how to fucking stand in front of somebody and let them see you like for who you are like right now? That's fucked up that we can't do that.
But I give you major props for being able to do that on stage live and being able to write like your story, your truth, and being able to make people laugh while doing that. Like that's
trying,
huge.
Dude. I'm trying.
That's like I feel like that needs major, props, and like you take a second and appreciate that and just like really like, like count your blessings too. It's like, holy shit, I did that. I'm doing this. Like that's huge. Not everyone like can just get on stage and talk about their issues and make it funny and like make a career and make people laugh. Like that's pretty impressive. You have to give yourself props for that.
Dude, thank you.
No, seriously. Like I feel like for me it's like, oh, I can like write and like
not anybody.
But it's like you're getting on stage and doing that shit.
Not
you're
anybody
like,
can sit on a set, stand on a set with a bunch of dudes trying to call the shots and being like a tiny
I'm like, don't try me today.
Beautiful girl being like, no.
That's another thing. Honestly, I've noticed that too. When you're a pretty girl in the film industry, it's like you immediately like, I feel like they don't take you as seriously. And that fucking pisses me off. And I exactly want to use that and improve them. I want to be that hot girl. I want to be that girl that posted a bikini picture, but I can fucking make a great ass movie and you're going to get emotional watching. I want to be able to do it all. Like, I don't want you to put me in a box and be like, if you're a director, like, you have to be like this and like that. It's like, no, like, I can be an attractive girl. I can put my emotions in a film, write that shit. I can make you cry. I can podcast, swear. Like, I want to be able to do it all.
Like you want to be your whole self.
I want to be myself. Yeah. Like, I don't want to be like, oh, this is how you should be as a director.
This is what's fucked up, dude, is like society has told us that like hot girls are only hot girls. And that's all they are. It's like, no, like, have you ever like, even like the epitome of that, like if we're saying like, let's say like porn stars, the epitome of that. You ever watch a porn star in an interview? Some intelligent ass bitches. Yeah. Some of these fucking women are so intelligent, dude. And that's why they did what they did, because they figured out how to make it work and make their money, and they didn't give a fuck.
No, seriously.
I respect that, but I think it's so interesting because like we don't want people to have it all.
I know.
So it's easier for us to be like, no, like they can only be the one thing. Right?
Yeah. And I know we want to like categorize them and put them in a little box so badly, but it's like, no. Even in film school with my teachers, they'd be like, what kind of like director do you want to be? Like, what genre of film do you want to direct? And I always said like, I used to actually say like, I want to do dramas, but I really see myself doing like psychological thrillers.
Ooh,
and they were like, they're like, like,
wait, did you watch Deadly Illusions?
No. Oh my God. Is it new or is it old? I haven't seen it.
It's pretty new.
Is it? Oh my God. Is it on Netflix or?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Okay. I need to watch it.
I'm in it. But you have to watch it. You're in it? I'm in it. But
oh my God.
It was like a really good psychological thriller that came out this year. It's
We're all watching it.
Had a lot of like buzz about like being like, is it good or is it the worst? And it's really.
No, I'm excited.
I want you to watch it tonight. I want you to watch it. I want you
I'm
to
gonna text.
I didn't know that about you. That's your like.
I love that kind of shit. And my teachers literally told me, they're like, I don't know if that's gonna sell well like in the industry. Like it might look like you can't make up your mind on like what you want to do as a director. Like you shouldn't like. They're like, if you want to do, if drama is your thing, do drama. And I literally was like, is this a fucking joke? Like I'm in school right now and my teacher's telling me this.
You're like,
but it was actually not like I heard it from more than just one teacher, and that like kind of motivated me and inspired me. I was just like, damn, I'm like, that's old school thinking. Like thinking you can only fucking do one genre. I'm like, I can direct more than one genre. That's like saying I can only like direct like dramatic, sad stories. I'm like, no, I can fucking think of like funny situations. And like, I feel like make someone laugh. Maybe not like constantly for a whole 2 hours, but there's definitely a moment in the film where I can make someone laugh or like something. And I just like didn't like that. They made it seem like, no, like you can't. I'm like, yes, I can.
And I will.
Yeah, and I will. So
yeah.
I mean, shit. Like I directed a like fantasy like sci-fi superhero film, like something I would do.
That's so sick.
Never in a million years. It'll be coming out at like middle October, so like 2 more weeks. So soon. Yeah, I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna send it to you. But like I said, I've just done dramas, and then so I did that, and I'm like, that is so different from anything I've ever done, and I hope that can like show and like prove like I'm not just like a drama director. I'm like, I can do more. You can have multiple talents. You can be good at more than one thing, especially in the creative arts. Like, you know.
Yeah, because a lot of times,
I mean, look at you. You're acting, you're writing, you're doing stand-up comedy, you're producing. When I met you, like, what was the job that you applied for? Like, what were you even?
Director of communication.
See? Which is another thing I want to talk about too.
Oh my God.
So
we went through something together.
Funny story. So how we met, right? Okay. So before finding this job, before this job hunt, I had another job search where I was like, I need to find a job. This was like right after graduation, like literally like May 2020, right? I think it was May 2020.
Yeah.
And I'm on Craigslist. That was probably the first red flag, but your girl ignored the red flags. And I met up with this guy, and he was like, yeah, I have a production company. I'm, shooting this film, I'm doing this. Like, we're trying to shoot this next month. I have a whole team, like, working on this. Like, you're going to just be handling the social media aspect of it. And I was like, cool, awesome. Like, I can totally do that. My job was going to be, like, post on Facebook, post on Instagram, post on Twitter, post on every social media platform to bring buzz about this film, which I was like, sure, I can do that. And apparently there was a bonus involved also, like later on, if the film did well. But bonus, we never knew how much the movie had to make back to get that bonus. But obviously when you hear like, oh, you're going to get a $10,000 bonus.
But he knew how much the bonus was going to be.
Right. Exactly. So like, again, I ignored the red flags. It sounded exciting. I was like, oh my God, $10K.
And in our office.
And then he's like, I got an office in Beverly Hills.
Our office was dope.
The office was dope. It was actually like he was
just
renting
moved
it.
In, so
he was like renting it,
yeah,
right?
renting, yeah.
So I guess like in LA, you can rent offices. You don't have to be like stuck to one or like, get a lease for a year or whatever. You can just like rent it like monthly or weekly or whatever. And when I first started, the first day I started, you weren't there, but you came like the next day, I believe. And the first day, like, it was just like get to know like what was happening, get to know the other coworker. And you're just kind of like at your laptop. She was at her laptop, and we're just kind of like doing our thing. And then the next day, I was like, okay, like I'm ready to start working. But like whenever I would ask, like, hey, like, what do you need me to do? Or like, what's done already so I can like post about it? Like I'd never get any like legit answers or like real feedback. Like it'd always be like half answers that I could never really do anything with. So I was just like kind of confused, like what is happening? And then you started, and then I remember just like sitting at the laptops, and you're like, wait, what are we like supposed to do? And I'm like, I honestly don't know. We were all just so confused, like what is happening?
Yeah, because like I think he like had me get there. He like introed me, and then he left.
Yeah.
And I was like, so what have you guys been like working on?
Exactly. No,
and you gave me the lowdown.
I was like, literally, we haven't been working on anything because he hasn't given us anything. And he keeps saying that other people are working on this. And then once that is done, then it's time to do our part. But I was like,
really? I was like, once I saw the one sheet, I was like, is this a call? Like, I was like, did I just like get another call?
No, I was literally so
like, oh my God.
No, and then we also had to pay a stupid amount of money for parking. It was like $25 to park your car there. So essentially, I was like paying to work. So it was just like another red flag.
Right.
Bunch of red flags I ignored. But I think I was just so desperate for a job because, like I said, I graduated during COVID and I wanted something so badly. I wanted
like I'm a weirdo when it comes to like productivity and efficiency. Like I'm like,
especially if you're getting paid and you're working. Like
like I like have because so coming from the film industry, right? And having to like self-produce shit, like that you can pull Hail Marys, like if you want to.
You literally can.
You know, like what kind of like what amount of work it takes to do something. And you know that it doesn't really take as much as you like. It takes a lot of focus and it takes a lot of like just being effective. Yes. It doesn't need to take days to do something. Yes. You can do a lot in a short period of time if you know what the fuck you're doing.
Exactly.
Or like, so I like lose respect really quickly for people, especially people in like power or authority or like people who are supposed to be leading. Right. If they're like inefficient
and like not responsible and kind of like all over, like messy all over the place. Like, unorganized, it stresses me out. I'm like, how can you
it makes
be in
me
charge of this?
Angry.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't understand.
Like I'm like, I get mad if I could do somebody's job better than they can. Right. Like, I'm like, oh, hell no.
And
like,
you're getting paid like not even like half of what they're getting. Yeah.
I'm a fucking asshole like that. No. I can't do it.
It's not being an asshole. It's just like standards for
not
yourself.
To be not to be a dick. No, like if I'm better at your job than you are,
then something's not right.
I'm like fuck you.
I'm not gonna work for you if I do.
Straight up. Like I want to learn from you. Like
exactly.
I want to like.
There was no possible way of growth in that job.
I start to shut down. My body literally, like I feel like the walls are closing in, and I'm literally like every thought in my head is like, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck. Like I'm just like, so I don't know. That's what I had started to feel like. I was just like. I was kind of surveying the situation. Yeah. Like, at first I went into it, I was like, saw some red flags. I'm like, this is kind of weird. He's talking about this big ass fucking bonus. What the fuck? And then I like get into this space and there's two other girls and I'm just like, wait, so what are you guys doing? Yeah. Like, okay, so I'm doing this. How do we fit together? Okay, this is what it is. What do you guys know because I don't have anything to work with.
I didn't even like the script wasn't even a real script. That's why I was like,
I saw the script. That's when I was really
that's what it was. That's what it was.
I saw the script. I was like,
the first like 2-3 days. Yeah.
Oh hell no.
Like the first 2-3 days, I was like, okay, it's fine. Like still trying to figure out this whole like company. He's still figuring out all the new employees, probably like whatever. We're all learning together. Blah blah blah. But then when he sent me the script, like I mean, I went to film school, so it's like I know what a script is supposed to look like, right? Like the format and everything. So when I saw it, it was a Word doc. Yeah. And I was like, oh, the script's not done yet. I was like, is the script not done yet? I was like, are you still working on it? He's like, no, it's done. And I was like, it's not in script format. I was literally like
number one.
I was like, okay, this is really fucking weird. But then I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe this guy just has like money and
that's what I was thinking. And I was like, okay, maybe this person has money
to just make his like the story. Yeah. Which that's common too in LA. It happens. Like,
which I was like, okay, but like then I was like, do I want to be associated with that?
Yeah.
That was for me. Like, I mean, we also did different roles. Like I was he wanted me to be the communication director.
Right.
Which meant I was going to have to reach out to people.
Yeah.
And like for press and like shit like that. And I was just like, I don't feel comfortable representing this, whatever the fuck this is.
Whatever
like,
that
I don't want this. I don't. No,
it was definitely.
It felt like it was like a rich narcissist that was like, write about my life and how I'm going to become the savior.
And during COVID. No, like that's actually literally like how
that's
it was.
The story. That was what the film
But
was
honestly,
about.
I had such respect for you when you literally put into perspective. You were like, this shit is bullshit. Like this is not really like.
Is that what I said? I don't even remember.
No, you're
what
like,
I said.
because you asked. Like the other girl and I, you're like, how, like, what are you guys doing? What's this company all about? Like, what? And we couldn't even answer that. And it's like, we can't answer the questions to why we're working. What are we working on as employees? That something's wrong, right?
Well, I also,
but it's not that I didn't ask and didn't like, I was being lazy, just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. It's like, I wasn't getting any answers every time I would fucking ask.
No,
like,
I know. I saw. But so I saw it because remember, like, when he came back, we were like, okay, well, when he comes back, we'll talk to me. And, like, you were the one who took the lead on that. And I just listened because I was, like, the new one, I guess, like, relatively. Like, day two,
no,
I guess.
And he would always just come up with an excuse or, like...
And I watched him evade, like, your whole... That's when I knew because I was, like, literally... Right? Because it's, like, writers and actors and directors be, like... break down scripts. People,
I literally,
we're like, what action is this?
I break down literally every person. Like,
so you're like,
I try not to. I'm
like, evade, evade,
yeah,
evade. I was like,
and then as soon as I asked him those questions, he left the office. He's like, oh, I gotta go. Like, it's like,
I know. And then like he left, and like you and I were looking at each other.
I was like, he's gonna leave it. He literally was like, I'm leaving the office, and I was just thinking to myself, like, what does he want us to like work on? Why he's gone? He hasn't even said anything.
Well, I also was like fully aware that this person could very well not pay us. And so in my
that's
mind,
100% what I started feeling like.
Each hour that I'm spending there, I'm like, this is an hour that I might not get paid for.
Yes.
Like, so like the more time went on, the more I was like, I need to like know, like I was trying to figure out like, you know, at what point do I make the call?
Yeah. And I honestly fucked up because I was too scared to like, no, like I've actually learned what I learned and took away from that fucking experience was always ask about pay, how it's going to be handled, your contract, all that before like starting work. Like even if it's fucking.
Well, that was weird too. Because normally that shit should be even
talked about, right?
Yeah, no, it's fucking duh.
I just thought like,
would you ever fucking bring somebody on your fucking independent film and be like, okay, maybe no. Like you tell them straight up, like
this is what it is.
This is what it is.
Yeah,
copy and credit or $50. Yeah, that's what I have for you. Are you down?
Yeah, IMDb credit. Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. No, I know, and I think I was just like, oh, this is my first gig that I just was like, oh, maybe like don't like maybe this is how it is. Like I didn't want to like step on any toes, but I was like, fucking idiot. Like you could have avoided like all of that if you just literally would have like asked more questions. So now like. Now I'm like, I know what I want. I know what I don't want. Like, I ain't gonna sugarcoat this shit. Like, I literally had a job interview and I was like, I'm sorry, but I won't work for anything under 20. Like, that's like the lowest I can do. Like, I was like, it's expensive to live here. I was like, I have a bachelor's degree. I went to school for this. Like, I was like, I know I can bring this shit to the table. Like, you have to set your worth, honestly. Cause it's like, if like, you're not claiming your like confidence worth and like saying you can do it, then they're not gonna believe in you. They're not gonna care. They'll try to pay you $12 an hour if they can.
Yeah. I mean, that's like, it's so true, dude. And at a certain point, you also have to, like, if there is a point where you're like, you're down to maybe try to take a lower rate because you think you can learn something or you're getting something out of it, know when that fucking time
that happens
ends.
too. And that I've totally done that as well too. Like I've definitely worked gigs for free or for really, really low price.
But you gotta know
because I figured like in the end it's gonna pay off in another way. Or it might not pay off right away, but in the long run it might. Like I felt
you gotta know what the point is
and who the people are too. And now you don't want to just do it for anyone because people take advantage of that too. It's like they're like, oh, she'll work for like a low rate. It's like
you also have to just know what your breaking point is with it. Like okay, so or what your milestone is where you're done. You know, at what point is it no longer useful to you to do that? And like, when do you cut ties? Like, that's what it was for me with that. It was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. I'll see what it feels like. But at a certain point, if I don't get the answers that I need, that's unprofessional. I can't trust it. I can't move forward with it to put my time towards it.
Yeah.
That's it. But like,
and it's like, why put so much time into someone else's work when it's like, if you're not putting into your own work?
Straight up, dude. Like, well, that was the biggest thing too. We're sitting there as writers, directors, actors, whatever, like, knowing that we can write a better film than this.
In actual script format. In actual script format.
We just don't have the money. So, like, why the fuck would you not? Yeah, in script format, right?
Right. I'm like, how am I going to sell this story that's in a Word document when I can barely sell my own fucking stories that are script formatted and I know, like, what I'm writing?
Yeah.
I'm like, it's not going to work. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, like, at that point, it's also like, well, yeah, just find the people with the money that want to fucking throw money at that.
Yeah.
And, like, have enough fucking balls and faith in yourself to do it. But, like, I think that to, like, bring it full circle, you know, where I'm wanting to focus right now, it's like, it's like, as an actor, you're going off of, like, other people's opportunities all the time. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you believe in what they're doing so that you're putting your heart and soul into something that you feel happy with at the end of the day. Exactly. And working with people you fucking trust that are going to deliver something and they're going to, because the director they're pulling the strings, right? They're pulling the strings of your psyche. Yeah. So it's like, you want to work with somebody that you, like, trust to like do that in a way that's respectful. Exactly. But also at the end of the day, it's like, at what point do you start saying what you want to say as an artist? And, like, doesn't it make more sense than to work with directors or actors or whoever the fuck your team is that also wants to say, or they want to support you in saying what you want to say? Yeah. Shouldn't that take priority? Yeah, it should. At what point does that become a priority? Literally. At what point do you say, like, let me stop building my resume? Yeah. And when do you, like, stop it? Like, yeah, it's like, when is it, like, complete? And it's like, this is my like, this is it. Yeah. And it's like, or your portfolio too. Like, cause I'm like, oh, like, I even said it earlier, literally while we're recording this, I was like, I still need to build my portfolio like, before I get an agent. But do you? And also, like, why an agent? I don't know. Cause exactly. I don't know. The industry told you exactly. But do you? I don't, honestly, like, everything that I've done has been by myself. Like, it hasn't. So I'm like, I don't think I need to, but I'm like, having the extra hand maybe, but I'm like, I don't think I need it. Like, everything that I thought I was going to do hasn't happened the way that I thought. So I'm like, fuck, like, there's no fucking, like, straight path. Like, there's no path. And also, like, the industry is, like, it's changed so much and it's changing so much so quickly. And it's still changing. That you have to kind of take ownership. Yeah. And the people who do really well. Did you see I May Destroy You? No, I need to watch it. You gotta watch it. Okay. So, and read about her story. Okay. Michaela Cohen, I think is her name. Okay. And I think it's her second project that she did, but picked up by HBO. Really cool story series. Wow. I think 30 minutes or 40. Yeah. 40 minutes or something. But she won, I think she was nominated. I think she won. I like didn't watch the last award show. I feel like embarrassed. No. But like I can't with the award shows right now. Like, I know it's dystopian as fuck. I can't watch that. Are you kidding? It's not what it used to be. Dude, the art, like, what is good art now? Well, I just feel like they're not even doing it for the art, the creativity, for the story anymore. It's all just for, like, oh, how are we gonna get the most views? Ratings. Like, the ratings. Like, what TikToker can we bring in so that the Oscars get watched? It's just it's too saturated with bullshit. It's not like what it used to be. Yeah, it's lost. Exactly. Like, I think the reason why I loved Hollywood and the film industry and everything is just because, like, it had such a unique charm. Like, same with, like, Disneyland. It has, like, a unique thing that you can only get there, like a certain smell and, like, feeling you can only get at Disneyland. That's what I felt with, like, the film industry and movies and stuff, but, like, it's slowly fading out a little bit because you see the reality behind it, you know what I mean, and how it really is. But I hope it changes. I hope, like, I think it's gonna have to be reinvented. I think so, that's, especially with everything we're seeing right now. Yeah, I have this feeling, I mean, it might, like, start within literally next week, honestly. Yeah, we might be a part of something, like, totally different and new, like, within the next, like, 5 years, things could be totally different. I think that people are going to have to learn how to self-produce and like, create really good stories, and we'll have to get creative with how we distribute that. And we'll have to learn. But there's do you know about Seed and Spark? Did I tell you about this? Seed and Spark. That sounds so fucking familiar. So there's this, like, woman. She's awesome. I met her at a comedy show, or no, what was it? It was a comedy. it was at a comedy show, but it was like a Q&A with like these different people in the film film industry.
Yeah.
And she was talking about, so she owns Seed and Spark, and it's basically like a platform that helps people.
Kind of like a GoFundMe-ish, like an idea and then you can donate or something.
It's that, but they also like provide a lot of resources for filmmakers to get their shit funded, to like the whole process.
Right.
And I think they have like a streaming platform now too, which is really cool.
Good. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
So like, I mean,
everything's having a streaming platform now too. It's like, oh, like put your movie on here, that it's like shit is definitely changing. Like if like movie theaters and all that's changing, like
it's going to a space of like independent content because I think people are getting so tired of being sold bullshit. Literally, and selling their souls for nothing. For nothing. Yeah. For what? And it's like not empty. Even a good I mean, it's interesting. We've gone through such an interesting arc, right? Because at a point TV was just there to make money for commercial breaks. Yeah. Isn't that crazy to think about? That is crazy. That is so crazy. And it was just like kind of trash. And then it actually became an art form that became like really interesting. And we had like these sitcoms that like help these like kids from divorced families, from literally like parents who were like not home with their kids. Yeah. Like these kids that don't have parents. Brought us up, right? And it was like this comforting thing that we had to come home to be like, you know, the laugh track and all of that shit, right? And then we grew up and we like, it taught us like things that we knew about the world, right? I know. So then those are the people who are making film and TV now. Right. And see how TV has kind of gone on this arc where it's like, now we don't have the commercial breaks anymore. Everything's on streaming. There's literally no commercials anymore most of the time either. All the way through. You binge it because it's so good that you want to see what happens in the story and it changes you. Yeah. Like, so is it also a escape in a negative way? Like, is TV still something like positive? Like I think that the TV has become something positive. I mean, positive, negative, how it's relative, right? But like, it's how it's being used. But like, I think TV has become something really helpful and important because it teaches us things and it makes 100%. Us feel things and it exposes us to alternate perspectives. Like you said, and now we've been having a lot more conversations about like big things happening, like mental illness, like things that are happening like in our childhood, things like trauma, like everything. So I feel like, and that's being included in documentaries and films and shows, like, you know, like the characters, like they might have like a mental illness or they talk about like suffering or going through addiction, which is like, I feel like you didn't hear about that as much, but now it's like, wow, like you can learn about this like certain thing because this character, like in like one of the shows that you like has it or something, which I feel like it's like you're learning without even realizing you're learning, which is beautiful. And like, I've always said that like as a writer director, I want to be able to like have that with my audience. Like they are watching and they're like being educated on something, but it doesn't feel like you're learning. Like it just feels like you're enjoying, like it's just like you're watching something beautiful on screen, you feel connected and you're like, wow, this is like really cool. And you leave and you're like, oh wait, like you took something away from the film. You're like, oh, like that person was going through this, or like, I didn't realize that if you had this, that sometimes you could suffer from this as well, or something. Like just like, it could be like a small little lesson, but like it just has you thinking, you know what I mean? Well, and like 100% that for sure, like alternative lifestyles, perspectives, experiences, learning but people's also cultures, like diversity, like everything, all of that. Things that you would never be exposed to otherwise. Right. But also I think that like when a story is well crafted, like Dead to Me. Oh my god, the show? Yes, that was fucking crazy. Changed me, dude. That show was fucking crazy. I was going through a loss during that time, and I was literally was just like, this is fucking intense, because like it makes you think like, how would I handle that? Or like, because I feel like if you haven't lost someone, the show hits you differently. Like I feel like you don't necessarily know is like how painful it is, or like how you would do anything to get that person back. Like you have that like moment of like, I would trade anything, you know, like, so when I watched that show, I was like, wow, like I couldn't even imagine like being in that situation. The grieving though, I think everyone can relate to grieving. Yeah. You know, because sometimes like loss can be, it doesn't have to be death always. The person's still alive and they just don't talk. Yeah, that's true. Like the grieving and the forgiveness element. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was really powerful for me to watch. Like I was going through some stuff with like my mom and dad and processing my trauma, and like I was going through a period of kind of like I needed like space from them to kind of like really process what went on and come back to it with like fresh eyes and like forgiveness, you know, because I just didn't have the space for it, and I'd never taken that time to really like be honest with myself about like how disappointed I was about some of the, you know, ways that they showed up.
Yeah.
And so in that time, it was really interesting because it really kind of shook me up in terms of like, even just like the level of forgiveness that had to happen there between those two characters.
Yeah.
And being like, holy shit, like in a way, watching that happen for somebody else made it feel accessible for me, you know, because it was like they took you through the process.
And it's like if they were able to talk it out in that situation, like maybe you can, like it makes you feel like, oh yeah, maybe I can. Like she dealt with something super fucked up and crazy, and she was able to talk. Yeah,
but that only comes from it being like the story being told and portrayed in a way that's so authentic. And that really like relies heavily on like the story being good, the writing, the directing,
and
I mean everybody, the acting. For the actors, I mean those two actresses had such like I mean such amazing, incredible abilities to like really zone into the truth of those scenarios, you know, and I admire that a lot, you know.
Oh my God, watch Dead to Me. If you haven't, you have to watch it. I honestly, I like totally like forgot about that show. I watched it during 2020, and it was just like, I remember it was just so good, but I never did like talked about it on the podcast, or never. I think because I didn't know anyone watching it, I just like kind of just kept it to myself. But I totally agree. That was a great watch, and like great writing also.
I'm so glad we had an opportunity to do this.
No, I'm honestly very happy you came on and talk. Like I just feel like we can talk about so much more too, because just the whole writing process of like how to like write a comedy sketch, which I'm like, we'll do another episode on that, because I do want to know, because I feel like writing a story is very different from writing a comedy like sketch or comedy like monologue or however you call it, you know, like, and do an episode on that as well and have you come back on.
Oh my God, I would love to talk about that.
Yes, please come back on.
Okay,
but
thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. If you want to throw out any like social media or like your page, people to follow you.
Oh my God, of course. At abellabella.tv. I'm like trying to get more active on social. That's just the IG for now. I'm like I'm gonna
that's the IG for now.
The IG for now. I can only handle one, but like I do want to do the Twitter thing.
Nowadays, like when you're in the film industry, I feel like you have to like use all the platforms to promote yourself. So might as well.
I'm like really enjoying using social media to like ask people questions.
Have
you been seeing what?
Oh my God,
I've been like asking people ask questions about sex.
I mean, that's what I do with the podcast. I'm like, tell me about your life. Like, you're like, what the fuck? I thought we were talking about the film industry.
I love it. I'm like here for it, girl. Like,
okay, good. I was like, I hope I wasn't like coming on too strong.
No. I'm like, that's the shit that I like to talk about.
No,
too.
it's real. Yeah, I'm glad we were, because I feel like that's some shit that people don't talk about. And like we can sit here and be like, like the film industry is like really nice and calm, and everyone gets paid. Like, it's like, but that's why it would just be bullshit though. So this is the real deal. But thank you so much for coming on, and I'm happy to have you back soon.
Oh my God, I can't wait! Yay!